Hey, my friends, welcome back to the She Thinks Big podcast. And I have a special guest today, a very special guest, Lina Midla, who some of my listeners have met actually in person and live, because I have had Lina come work with my mastermind E's, my freedom finders, I call them, at our last retreat. And then Lina also helped me lead She Thinks Big Live, which was a day-long event I did in January of 2024, which seems like a very long time ago. But so some people listening might be familiar with Lina, so this is going to be fun. And if you're not, you're going to learn all sorts of amazing things, because Lina is a women's resilience and recovery coach. And she's going to explain to us really what that means. And she owns a business called Limitless with Lina, which I think is a fabulous name. And she currently lives near me in Zionsville, Indiana. Well, I guess technically you live in Carmel, Indiana, but we live very close to each other. So I get to experience all of Lina's goodness. And I've experienced Lina's goodness in multiple modalities, actually, too, on a weekly basis. So I was like, it's time to have you on the podcast. All right. So Lina, tell us, did I give a good intro? How would you intro you?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's fantastic. I think one of the questions you had asked me, and it's something I've been working on for a while, is like, what is my title? What would I define myself as? And because yes, I am a trainer, I am a coach, I'm a breathwork facilitator, I'm a cold plunge guide, I'm a space holder, I'm a confidant, I'm an accountability partner, like all of these different things all get wrapped up together. But so many of those things are tools. They're not a title or who I am.
Right.
So I kind of found resilience and recovery, because those are really the states that I'm trying to elicit in the women that I work with. And I specialize and focus and love to work with women. And so, I would say that like fitness is a tool that I offer. Breathwork guidance is another tool, another experience that I can facilitate. And I'm an ice queen. I am a lover of cold, and actually really a lover of contrast. So sauna and cold, if we can get it. And so much of that is mindset and space holding. You know, I'm never going to push somebody into the water and hold them there. But I love really helping women meet themselves more deeply and offer up all of the tools that I have in my arsenal, and more as I continue to learn. So I think you hit it on the head. I don't know that there's a really easy way to define my title, but
so I've done personal training with Lina, and she actually does it in a very interesting way, which is not a typical personal training way, using sandbags. I've also done breath work with her, which she helped facilitate with the mastermind people. And then I have done cold plunging with her multiple times, which I need to do more of. So I've experienced all those modalities. So it was time she came on the podcast. Okay, so let's take like 2 minutes quick, because this isn't the most important thing we want to share today. But what I do, we're going to have, by the way, listeners, you're going to have 3 really big takeaways from today. But before we dive into those, just tell me about this journey from your shift from focusing on weight management to becoming what you just described. Like, what happened there? What was that pivotal moment that made you shift?
100%. So I think a lot of women find their way into fitness trying to work on their physical selves. And I think that societally we have this focus on being less, taking up less space, being less of a nuisance, being cute. All those things are fine and well. But I think I had this big transformational moment when I was teaching barre, where I was admiring a woman's physique. And after class, she came up to me and she said, "Oh my God, how do I get your butt?" And at that moment, I realized that, like, wow, here I am coveting everything that you are, and you're taking the whole class and wanting what I have. And for me, that fundamentally shifted things into moving away from trying to have somebody else's something and working with who you are and where you're at. And like, what can you gain from the experience instead of what can you lose? And that progression over time intensified as I became a mother. And not only was I trying to take up more space in the world, but I had less time to do it in. So really figuring out efficiency and, oh my gosh, there's a nervous system component. Oh my gosh, I'm tired all the time and I don't have an hour and a half to dedicate to the gym every day. And that progression of becoming a mother and all of these conversations and working with women in different life stages and myself progressing through different life stages brought me to this realization that fitness can be used as a beautiful tool, not just to chisel the outside, but to really help you bring out from the inside who you want to be and what you want to become.
So good. I'll just throw in here a little story of mine. So my first introduction to Lina was doing a cold plunge. I attended like a group community class. And then I decided, okay, I need to do more of this. And it was at a time, it was right before my book was released, or a couple months before my book was released. It was right when we were moving. Of course, that all coincided. There's a podcast episode on that, because what was I thinking doing all of that, like in the same season? But I started to do more cold plunging, and it really wasn't about what was I losing. It was about what was I gaining. And I was doing it really, if I think about it, because it was hard, and it kind of proved to me that I can do hard things. And it helped me get through some anxiety around all of that. So that's just a side note. We can talk more about that later. Anyway, let's go into talking through why you think movement, or how movement supercharges confidence, connection, energy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. I think that, gosh, I don't remember the exact statistic and I wish I had it on me, but I just recently read a stat that said that sedentary individuals, so those working desk jobs, are something along the ballpark of like 68% more likely to suffer from musculoskeletal pain than even a construction worker or a welder or a park ranger, or any of the positions where you'd think there would be more risk of injury and pain. And what I see as well is that when we sit all day long, we're not moving our body. We're more like our landscape is more like a swamp than like a creek or a river. And oftentimes we get tired just because we're sitting there, and we think in our heads, well, I'm just going to keep sitting here because I'm tired. Not understanding that actually movement begets energy. That when we start moving, we get the blood flowing, we get oxygen moving through our system, getting into our tissues. We actually start producing and using ATP. All of these sciencey things happen that just getting started and getting movement in will allow you to move more. And so I think it's a superpower that we don't necessarily consider, especially if you are an entrepreneur or a small business owner, wearing all the hats, doing all the things, driving around, caught oftentimes in a sedentary state, or using your brain a ton, doing a lot of think work, that we put our physical movement last. And what I found, even for myself, because I'm also running my own business, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm working with clients all day long, I would even tell myself, oh, I'm too tired to train right now. Like, I'm just going to sit here and answer another email or whatever. But when I make the deal with myself that, you know what, I'm just going to get started with my warm up. And if that's as far as my body wants me to go today, then that'll be it. And that's fine. But once you start that ball rolling, all of a sudden you get that, you shift into a different gear and you have that energy to work with, and you're dropping into your physical body. And all of a sudden you're creating, even it feels like you're creating space and time when you are being intentional with it as well. And I just think it's this underrated superpower that we have. But I also want to draw one little caveat, and that's that the goal is not to punish yourself. The goal isn't to slam so hard that you do have to spend the rest of the day recovering on your couch. Yeah. It really is about meeting yourself where you're at and increasing that energy or prana that you can then take into the rest of your day, versus, slamming yourself into the ground.
So true. So true. Because I think sometimes my husband actually works out and he slams himself into the ground afterwards. Like he's like, we can't golf. I'm too tired. And I think that's not good. But that's just, again, side note. All right. So tell the listeners a little bit, because I already know, but tell the listeners a little bit about how functional strength training is different than like a traditional fitness approach, and share how you approach functional strength training. So I think that's different too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say it's been like a long process and journey for me. My very first certification was in Zumba, followed close behind by CrossFit, like such a wonderful, like neck snapping pace from one side to the other. I was in bar for a really long period of time. And again, as I started moving through different life stages and getting older and looking for more continuing education, I fell upon a methodology of training called DVRT, which stands for Dynamic Variable Resistance Training. And all that really means is that we're training dynamically with variables and we're resistance training. So building strength, not aerobic, not like long distance running. And the goal is to train your movement systems, not your muscles in isolation, because we don't function with muscles in isolation. Our muscles connect to connective tissue and they all connect, and you've got, one lengthening as the other is contracting and things that are co-contracting together. And when we train functionally, it means we're trying to move better in our lives. And I spent so much time at the start of my strength training career wondering why it was that I could have a client who had a beautiful 150-pound deadlift in the gym, but then I'd find out over the weekend that she pulled her back lifting a 6-ounce dish out of the dishwasher. Like that didn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to investigate that further. And through this system, we're working on creating strength for your life outside of the gym. So part of that is energy management, not working you so hard that you're so tired that you get injured walking out the door. You have to sit on the couch recovering and you can't participate in your life outside of the gym. Part of it is moving in different planes of motion. So not just forward and backward, up and down, but learning how to resist rotation, learning how to rotate, learning how to move sideways. When you walk into your garage, sometimes you walk in and then you have to backtrack and go back to the house. How do you not pull your inner thighs when you do that or roll your ankle? A lot of that is training side to side movement. And then a big piece of it is really learning how to create stability. I think mobility is really flashy and in right now. And that's important. Again, a lot of us are sitting all day long. We feel stiff. We're not moving well because we're not moving enough. But a big piece of mobility is actually your brain protecting you, thinking that you're not stable enough to handle that range of motion. So I'm going to pull it back from you. So it's really learning how to tap in to your nervous system to become more stable. And then your brain says, oh, cool, you're stable. I can give you more range of motion in your shoulders or in your hips because I know you can handle that. So to kind of boil it down, it's movements over muscles. It's working in all planes of motion, which we move in our daily lives. And it's really working to increase stability, which begets the mobility that we're capable of handling.
I never thought of it that way. Now, I've been working on stability myself here, but that was a light bulb that just went off for me. So thank you for that. And I think it's a really good segue into the next thing I want to bring up is your nervous system, like your nervous system regulation and how foundational that is. And again, as entrepreneurs, I don't think we do enough of that. And I'm always curious if my clients did do more nervous system regulation, what would happen to them? What would happen? Like what would be possible, or what could they see for themselves that they can't see right now? So, and I think you're kind of experiencing some of that yourself right now.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Imagine that. All right. So tell me all the things about recovery and nervous system regulation that you think we need to know and why it's not optional.
Oh, 100%.
It sounds like it's an optional thing. Why is that actually, now that I think about it? Why is it that all of the tools in the toolbox for recovery and nervous system regulation seem optional or extra or
like a treat?
Like a treat. That's right. Like a privilege, I was going to say. Yeah. What is that?
I don't have an answer for that yet, but it is something that I've noodled on forever. And actually, if you come and train with me, one of the things that I require, although I don't use the word require, but make possible, is at the end of every session, we put our feet up the wall and we breathe. We move out of that upregulated fight or flight state, not really fight or flight, but an upregulated sympathetic nervous system state that we want to be in when we're training. That's like part of it, to a calmer state. And the way that I see it in my head is like a crocodile that has just finished eating or whatever, like exerting all that energy. And then they go back to just floating in the water. And they're ready. They're ready for whatever life throws their way, but they're not thrashing all the time. They're conserving their energy, they're focused, and they're ready. And that's really what we try to do at the end of every session, is bring you back to a more balanced parasympathetic nervous system state.
I just thought too, like dogs, you know how they're falling, like nap all day long, on and off, on and off, on and it's kind of the same thing, right? It's just.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 100%. But you're ready, right? Like you're not like sleepy. You're going to miss the mark when like the race gun fires. Like you're ready to go, but you don't have to be, because that's so much extra energy and that you don't have to be spending.
Yes. 100%. All right. So tell us how breath work and cold exposure tell me about the roles that they play in this.
Yeah. So I'm certified by Sherpa Breath and Cold in breath and cold. And I, like many of my colleagues, came for the cold and realized, oh, wow, the breath is such an important piece of this, actually. You can't really tease the two apart. And the reason they're taught together, and I learned them together, and I'm a master trainer as well, so I educate others in this, is because these two modalities are the quickest way to shortcut and shift your state. We all breathe. It's automatic. Thank God for that, because it'd be another thing we'd have to think about all day long. And there'd be a lot more people dropping off if we had to manage that all the time. But we have this backdoor entrance into our nervous system where we can impact our energy. We can impact how we feel. We can impact how we handle stress. We can increase our capacity as well. And cold is one of those things that has a whole host of physiological benefits. You know, there's such a big laundry list of benefit that we get from cold exposure. But my favorite is its ability to, one, build our capacity for hard things. And two, oh my gosh, nothing makes you more present than experiencing the cold. You can't run away from it. Like it's there and you have to deal with it. And it's really one of the only modalities that I'm currently aware of where when you're in that flight or fight state, because when you get into the cold, there's a piece of your brain that doesn't know it's intentional. It literally thinks you've been walking on the frozen tundra and you've fallen through the ice and you better get out because otherwise you're going to die from exposure, for sure. So you, in that moment of panic and heightened state, you get this beautiful opportunity to receive coaching. And what that can do is help you learn how to manage yourself through what feels like life and death and heightened nervous system states, helping you create that space, helping you come back to your breath so that you can make better decisions, so that you can have that moment to decide how you show up in that moment. I had a client in the fall who was actually, we kind of talked about that benefit because she asked me about all the benefits. And this is really my favorite one, especially working with athletes as well, because you can't fake the like nervous energy of performance. No. You can't fake it. So how can we get in there and help you become more resilient within that stress? And we were talking about that because she's a marathon runner. And the next time she came to see me, she goes, Lina, I have to tell you, on my way here, I witnessed a motorcycle basically losing it on a roundabout and sliding across the lanes. And it was this like moment of like, oh my God, what is happening? And in that moment, I had the awareness to bring myself back to my breath. And obviously I checked to make sure somebody was, attending to him and he seemed okay. But I think in the past, I would have gotten stuck in more of a freeze state. But I had these tools that I've practiced And she showed up at my door 10 minutes later and was like ready to go, ready to breathe.
Mm.
And so I think that like building your capacity to move through your nervous system, it's not about being calm all the time. And that's something that we're talking about more and more in the fields of breath and nervous system regulation and somatics and trauma. It's not about being like Xanax calm all the time. It's about being able to expand your window of tolerance and be able to play on the edges, but also bring yourself back to regulation. And breath is such a key to bringing you back to yourself.
Yes, 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 and yes. It is a key to bringing your, and again, it goes back. It's like a forgotten modality in a sense. And you said something like if you like playing on the edges, right? And I think as business owners, we're constantly playing on the edges, and I wonder if those edges could expand if we did more of this work. That's just something that kind of came to me.
100%. Like it really does expand your window of tolerance and capacity. Yeah. And a big piece of it, I think, is literally the opposite of what I just said, which is the word think. As business owners, we spend so much time thinking and logicking and working within our prefrontal cortex. And I see this in, gosh, if not 100%, then like 95% of the women who come through my door, this disconnect from everything below the neck. Like I remember I was working with a client and we were dealing with some like nutrition strategy. And I asked her, why are you eating these things? Are you hungry all the time? And there was this dead silence. And she goes, I don't know. I don't know if I'm hungry, because we tend to take all of the bodily signals that we receive and we quiet them, because what's important is what's happening right in the middle of our head and not necessarily our gut feelings or intuition or felt senses. And through the style of movement that I use and the way I talk about it, which is really about noticing and executing, interacting with your physical environment rather than turning it into an intellectual exercise. And the same with breath and breath work and meditation and cold. They really help drop you into your physical body where there is so much wisdom that it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be using our brains. We absolutely need to be using them. But there's such a power that can happen in approaching a problem or a situation or a goal from your whole being, not just from the thinking logical brain.
Yeah. So when I do these mastermind retreats, I always try to include, I guess every time I have, I think successfully included some element where we are not thinking from our logical brain and we are trying to drop into our body and really become more in tune with that nervous system and take time and pause and think about what is happening within, not just within our bodies, not just within our brains, right? And it's interesting to watch how many people have trouble with this too.
Yeah.
But yet, if they start to do it, they can vocalize and verbalize the difference that it makes. So that's why I continue to include it. I think it's just as important in this retreat setting we work on our businesses, and that does involve a lot of thinking, but I think it's just as important to work on ourselves and kind of go to your third point here, like your feminine energy and your body wisdom, right? Because that makes you, I think, a better whole person. And this holistic word I think is overused, but it's the whole thing. Mm-hmm. It's the whole thing.
100%. And if I'm being completely honest, that's really what I'm in the peak of working on within myself, is really delving into my feminine energy. And just to provide a little bit of context, we all, men and women, everyone, every human has masculine and feminine energies. And I think when we look at like traditional business, it runs a very masculine energy. It's goals, achievements, success, do, keep moving, don't stop. And I think it's easy to get sucked into that all the time, but I really feel that's what's really at the root of a lot of our burnout is just the constant push and aggressive action. And there's always a place for that. You know, we shouldn't be 100% masculine. We shouldn't be 100% feminine. There's a dance and a balance. But when, especially as women, we honor our feminine energy and understand that we work in cycles and that we have this intuitive wisdom that sits in our literal and metaphorical womb, when we can get grounded, we actually create time and space. And that's one of the things that I went through a big meditation course in the fall. And if people know me, I'm not good at stillness, quote unquote. Like, I used to love going to acupuncture because I at least felt like something was going on while I was resting, or just like trying to like stamp all the hacks, because sitting in stillness is hard. It's hard, and it can be really uncomfortable. And especially when you're slammed with back-to-back meetings and like, I got to get this done and this done. And then I got to switch hats and get in my car and drive my kids from place to place. Yep. And then I got to make dinner. And then I want to decompress and fall over to go to sleep and start it all over again. Where do I have time to meditate? What's really cool is even just giving yourself the gift of a quiet pause. I mean, we've all been in timeout as kids. Like, even a 5-minute timeout feels like an eternity. And there's something really beautiful in that with meditation as well, that like, I do feel like an adult in timeout when I haven't done it in a while and I'm coming back to it. Like, what is this 5 minutes going to be done? Oh, I'm back to thinking about all the things I need to do. Can I bring myself back to my breath, back to the moment? But you give yourself the gift of pause and space and ease that we really, in our modern day and age, are really not getting enough of, especially with the tech that we're constantly plugged into. Again, I saw a stat recently that was like, ancestrally, we used to make like 2,500 decisions a day. From what path to take, what berries to eat, is it going to rain? Like all of those types of things. Now we make an average of 35,000 decisions a day. Even as simple as like, what song do I want to listen to on Spotify? What platform am I going to watch this show on? Oh, GPS is saying to go this way, but I want to go, like, every single little decision, and they all add up. And then we've got all the dings. We've got the emails, the direct messages, our watch telling us to stand up, sit down, like all of these things that we're hyper vigilant and fried so much of the time. And that's also not in sync with our feminine energy. So really taking the time to sit with no expectation and allow yourself to sink into that sacred pause can be so incredibly helpful and nourishing, and really like a superpower that we as women intuitively possess if we can bring ourselves back into it and accept that we don't have to have BDE all the time. Like we can show up that way for sure. And believe me, I love my way around some masculine energy. Like, put me in a room of male trainers and I'm like super happy to be there. But finding that softness and stillness, I've really been enjoying that lately, playing with that. And I find that when I sync myself up with more of that, like, that's where creative energy comes from.
Yep. So true. So true. I want to think of a really funny analogy is that, so where Lina trained, the space she trained out of before has this music playing at certain times that she doesn't have control over.
I call it scream rock.
Scream rock. It's scream rock. It is not feminine energy at all. And then when she trains out of a different space, when she gets to control the music, it's a whole different ballgame. It's a whole different ballgame. So anyway, that can kind of be an analogy for that whole discussion of energy. All right. So to wrap this up here, let's do two things. Let's do, first off, okay, the three key insights I think that we've shared today, if I wanted to sum them up, are one, that movement, but yet stability, I'm going to say, the combination of mobility and stability supercharges our confidence and connection and energy. So the second thing that I'm taking away from this is nervous system regulation, however you get to that place, is very foundational in any type of well-being or growth that you want to do. And then the third piece is embracing that feminine energy and listening to what your body is saying. Like, your body is wise. So if someone wanted to take one or all of those things and start to implement them in, like, what's one thing that they could do today? What's one thing?
Okay. My favorite thing, start using your hands and your feet. Get out of your shoes, put your feet on the ground, whether it's actually on the earth in the soil or just on the ground. Grab the ground with your feet. Feel what that feels like going all the way up the chain in your hips, in your glutes, in your pelvic floor for the activation of your entire trunk. And then use your hands. When you pick things up, when you hold things in your hands, really grip them. What does that feel like? We have the most bones in our body, in our hands, and in our feet, and they communicate with our brain and allow us to hack our stability. Our hands and feet are the way we interact with the environment that allows us to instantly create more stability. So if you're going up the stairs and you feel that little tweak in your knee or your back, ask yourself, am I really driving my feet into the stairs? That's my favorite. I'm getting a hat made. I keep saying it, but I'm going to do it. That just says strong hands, strong feet. So I can stop saying it at the gym. So people can just look at me and be like, okay, I got it.
Love it. Okay. Strong hands, strong feet, less shoes, more feet on the floor. Okay. We can all do that. That's great.
Yeah.
And then tell us, I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up. Tell us what your vision is for this third space for women that you want to create.
Oh, amazing. The space that I'm hoping to create, I want it to feel like an exhale the moment that you walk in. It's not home, it's not work, but it's a whole lot of vibes. It's cozy and soulful and allows you to come in and meet yourself and meet others right where you are. I really want to have women have a place where they can build strength without the grind, feel at home in their bodies and in their nervous systems, without guilt, without feeling like they've got to be doing something else at the same time. Just a place where you can lift, plunge, sweat, sit in silence, have a heart-to-heart with a warm mug of your thoughts and feelings.
And it's happening, people. It's going to happen. So by the time you listen to this episode, it may already be in works. That's just a little spoiler alert. It's happening.
That's the dream.
That's the dream. Well, it has been a pleasure to have you. And if people want to learn more about what you do, tell them about all podcasts too. Lina just started a podcast. Where can they find you? How do they get in touch with you? Do you do things virtually?
Yeah, I do all the things. I see clients in person. I work virtually over Zoom, at least for the training front so far, and building more into the future. I do remote training via my training app. The wonderful thing about the system that I use and the equipment that I use is it's perfect for at-home training. It's totally doable on the road as well. So the best way to get a hold of me, I'm a big fan of Instagram. That's the social medium that I prefer. I'm at Limitless with Lina. Lina spelled Lina. Limitless spelled like limitless. And I just launched a podcast, as Andrea mentioned. I took the steps. I've been wanting to do it for years and finally took action on it when it felt right. It's called Coffee Talk with Lina Midla. wellness, wisdom, and woo. It's a combination of interviews from incredible humans that I know sharing their gifts with the world, really focusing on an actionable takeaway rather than a wide smattering of stuff. And then every other week, I do a shorter solo episode called The Pour Over, where we go in depth into something inspiring or tangible. Yeah.
All right. So go listen to that. Follow Lina on Instagram. I've seen her in action do the virtual training. She's got some magic to that. I don't know how she does anyway, virtual and in person all at the same time. It's very magical. Thank you for being here. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to leave us with?
I do.
Okay.
All right. You are not a machine. You're a miracle. And everything on your path, everything in your journey has somehow happened for you. That real strength is not about grinding harder. It's about taking enough space to pause, tune in, and meet yourself where you are. And the last thing that I really want to touch on, which happens to be an emerging theme that I'm working through too, is that self-love is not a bubble bath. Self-love is showing up in service to yourself, the way that I'm sure many of you do for your clients, for your families, for your friends. And most importantly is that you don't have to do it alone. And in fact, building support around you isn't weakness. It's one of our feminine superpowers.
She must have been listening to the 5 key takeaways from Big Thinker, or 5 things that every big thinker knows. And one of them is secure support, because you can't do it alone. Cannot do it alone.
It's also not fun.
Right. It's not fun. It's not fun. No, it's not fun. No, it's totally not fun. So come have fun with us. Next week, I'll be back here with another episode of the She Thinks Big podcast. In between now and then, remember to think bigger, is what I'm all about, right? But then also step into your own space and take up space. Take up space, be present, feel into, I guess really also feel all the feelings. Be in tune with yourself enough to feel all of those emotions and also tangible feelings, right?
Yeah, unleash your limitless potential.
Ooh, there you go. All right, that's it, folks. We got it. All of Lina's links, podcasts, all the things, they'll be in show notes. Go follow her. You'll find some great inspiration. Thank you.